What if the oceans suddenly disappeared? At 8:17 in the morning, something happens that no scientist on Earth can explain. Every ocean disappears. The Pacific is gone. The Atlantic is gone. The Indian Ocean, gone. In less than a second, more than 1 billion cubic kilometers of water simply vanish from the planet. Ships don't sink. They fall. Entire cities that were built beside the sea suddenly overlook cliffs thousands of meters deep. Whales are left stranded on the ocean floor. Submarines crash into mountains that were never supposed to be exposed. And for a few seconds, humanity thinks the worst part is over. It's not. Because 12 minutes after the oceans disappear, scientists notice something impossible. Earth is getting heavier. And whatever took the oceans may still be here. At first, nobody believes it. People on beaches stare toward the horizon, waiting for the joke to end. But the horizon never moves. There are no waves, no ships, no blue water, just an enormous wall of exposed land. Descending into the distance, phones explode with notifications. Emergency alerts appear. News stations interrupt every broadcast. Scientists begin calling one another. Governments activate emergency protocols. And then, the first satellite images arrive. They confirm the impossible. Every ocean on Earth is gone. Not drained, not frozen, not displaced by a storm. Gone. The Pacific Ocean alone contained more water than humanity could ever comprehend. And now, there's nothing. Imagine standing in California and looking across the former Pacific. Japan is still there. Australia is still there. But between them, there is no ocean. Only a gigantic landscape that has been hidden from sunlight for millions of years. And then people realize something terrifying. They're looking at land that nobody has ever walked on. The exposed ocean floor is unlike anything humans have imagined. There are mountains taller than skyscrapers, valleys deeper than the Grand Canyon, volcanoes, massive trenches, ancient geological formations. And everywhere, there are shipwrecks, thousands of them. Some are centuries old, others are modern. Cruise ships sit tilted on their sides, submarines rest in valleys, cargo containers are scattered across the seabed. But the strangest thing is the life. Millions of fish are trapped in enormous pools. Whales lie motionless on the ground. Crabs crawl across mud that is rapidly drying. And scientists realize they have hours, maybe less. Because without water, the ecosystems of the ocean are dying. The largest ecosystem on Earth is disappearing in front of them. But then, something happens that nobody expected. A scientist monitoring the Pacific notices a strange signal, not from the ocean floor, from the Earth's interior. A low-frequency vibration, repeated at exactly the same interval, every 13 seconds, then again. 13 seconds. Again, 13 seconds. The signal isn't coming from a volcano. It isn't an earthquake. It isn't a machine. Nobody knows what it is. Until one scientist asks the question everyone else has been avoiding. What if the oceans didn't disappear? The room goes silent. What if they were moved? The theory sounds ridiculous. But the numbers don't. The amount of water missing from Earth's surface is almost exactly what scientists expected. Except, something is wrong. Earth's mass has changed. Not by enough for humans to notice. But satellites can detect it. The planet's gravitational field is shifting. And that shouldn't happen unless the missing water is still somewhere nearby. Scientists search. Nothing. Then they look underground. And that's when they discover the first anomaly. Thousands of kilometers beneath the former ocean floor, there are enormous pockets of unusual density. Something is down there. Something massive. Something that wasn't detected before. And before scientists can investigate, the planet starts shaking. Not like an earthquake. Something slower. Something deeper. Across the world, people feel it. A low vibration passes through buildings. Windows rattle. Animals panic. and every seismic station on Earth records the same thing. The signal, 13 seconds. Again. And again. And again. Then suddenly, it stops. Silence for exactly 1 minute. And then, a new signal appears. This one isn't coming from inside Earth, it's coming from space. Astronomers point their telescopes toward the source. At first, they see nothing. Then they process the data, and they find a pattern. Something is approaching Earth, something enormous. It's too dark to see directly, but it's blocking distant stars. The object isn't a planet, it isn't an asteroid, it isn't a spacecraft, at least not one humanity recognizes. And its trajectory makes no sense. It's not passing Earth, it's coming directly toward it. Governments are informed, the public is not. Military satellites begin tracking it. Then something even stranger happens. The object stops, not slows down, stops hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. It remains perfectly still. And then, the oceans return, but not on Earth. They appear around the object. For a few seconds, telescopes show enormous amounts of water surrounding it, a sphere of water floating in space. Scientists stare at the images. Nobody speaks. Because they finally understand. The oceans weren't destroyed, they were collected for the first time in human history. Every major government agrees on one thing. Nobody knows what is happening. The object remains motionless. Then, every radio telescope on Earth receives the same signal. Not a voice, not music. A sequence. 3 pulses. A pause. 3 pulses. A pause. Then one final pulse. Scientists spend hours trying to decode it. Eventually, they realize it isn't a language. It's a measurement, a coordinate, a location. They follow it. And the coordinates point to Earth. Specifically, the bottom of the Pacific, where the water used to be. Scientists return to the mysterious structure buried beneath the ocean floor. Now they understand why it was there. It isn't a ruin, it's a machine. And it's still running. The structure is activated. Nobody touches it. Nobody sends a command. It simply turns on. Lights appear beneath kilometers of rock. A deep vibration spreads across the planet. And then, the missing oceans begin moving. Not back to the surface. Toward the machine, scientists watch in horror as the water surrounding the mysterious object in space begins flowing away. The oceans are being transferred. But where? The answer arrives moments later. The object opens, not like a spaceship, like a door. And beyond it, there is darkness. Not empty space. Something else. A place where the laws of physics appear different. The water disappears into it. All of it. And then, the door closes. The object vanishes. Completely. For several seconds, Earth is silent. Then, the Pacific returns. The first wave is enormous. Not because the ocean suddenly creates a normal tsunami, but because billions of tons of water are appearing where there was nothing. Water crashes across the former ocean floor. Valleys disappear. Mountains become islands. Cities built on the new land vanish. Roads disappear. Entire landscapes are erased in minutes. The Atlantic returns. The Indian Ocean returns. The Arctic returns. Every ocean returns, and humanity survives. Barely, for weeks, the planet is covered in storms. The atmosphere fills with moisture. Rain falls across continents. Rivers overflow. The climate begins correcting itself. Eventually, the world starts looking familiar again. But something has changed. The oceans are not exactly the same. Scientists analyze the water. Its chemistry is different. Not dramatically, just enough. There are traces of elements that shouldn't exist naturally on Earth. And then, they find something else. A tiny object? At the bottom of the Pacific, it's perfectly smooth, perfectly spherical. And on its surface, there is a symbol. The same symbol found on the machine beneath the ocean floor. Scientists compare it with astronomical databases. They search every known civilization, every known planet, every known signal. Nothing until one astronomer looks at the shape again and realizes something. The symbol isn't a message. It's a number, a countdown. The number is translated. Scientists calculate what it means. At first, they think it's a date. Then they realize it's a distance. Something is coming. And this time, it isn't coming for the oceans. It's coming for Earth. The object that took the oceans may have been collecting them for a reason. Maybe they needed the water. Maybe they were studying us. Or maybe the oceans were never the target. Maybe they were simply the first thing taken. Scientists look at the night sky. They calculate the trajectory. And suddenly, the reason for the countdown becomes clear. Something is approaching Earth. Something much larger than the object that disappeared. Much larger. Years later, humanity still remembers the day the oceans disappeared. Children learn about it in school. Movies are made about it. The event becomes known as the empty Earth. But almost nobody knows the truth. The oceans came back. The world survived. And humanity moved on. Until one night, a satellite detects something. A shadow, far beyond the moon. Then another. Then thousands. They aren't moving toward Earth. They're surrounding it. And suddenly, every ocean on Earth begins moving. Not disappearing. Not returning. Moving, as if the entire planet has become one enormous sensor. The water rises. The tides become impossibly strong. And scientists realize the truth. The oceans weren't taken because someone wanted Earth's water. They were taken because someone wanted to see what humanity would do without them. The experiment is over. The oceans have been returned. And whatever was watching has finally made its decision. For the first time in human history, every telescope on Earth points toward the same place. The darkness beyond the moon. Something is there. Something enormous. Something that has been watching us for a very long time. And then, every ocean on Earth suddenly rises. Not by a meter, not by 10 meters, but by hundreds. The planet is covered in water. And from somewhere beyond the atmosphere, a final signal reaches Earth. One sentence. Just 3 words. Now we begin. And that's when humanity realizes the disappearance of the oceans was never the disaster. It was the warning.